Guyana finally signs a controversial economic partnership agreement with the European Union after months of pushing for a better deal.
The Guyana Power Light Company says efforts are being made to restore power to communities in Regions 5 and 6 by Saturday.
And Prime Minister Samuel Hines joined several other organizations in expressing condolences to the relatives of the late NCN journalist Akila Jacobs.
The details of these and other stories, business news, and of course the latest sporting action in the Diamond Mineral Water and NCN Sport News after these. Stay tuned.
Good evening, I'm Paul Moore, and now for the NCN 6 o'clock news. Prime Minister Samuel Hines joined several other organizations in expressing condolences to the relatives of the late NCN journalist Akila Jacobs. We'll bring you that story later in the newscast. Guyana has finally signed on to the controversial economic partnership agreement with the European Union. The decision was taken after the EU included the two clauses which President Barry Jagdeo had advocated for months. Edward Lane reports.
Ambassador to Brussels, Dr. Patrick Gomes signed the Economic Partnership Agreement EPA at the European Commission's headquarters in Brussels this morning, a move to which the European Commission has expressed delight. On October 15 last, when 13 CARIFORUM countries inked a full economic partnership agreement with the European Union, President Barry Jagdeo had promised to enter into the agreement before the end of the month.
We wrote the Secretary General of CARICOM today to indicate that in the spirit of compromise and given our strong commitment to regional integration and regional solidarity, and given the fact that the European Union has responded favorably to the two conditions that we put as compromise positions prior to our signing the agreement, that Guyana will not sign today but plans to sign this agreement sometime later this month.
The president said Guyana was to also write the head of the African countries in the ACP, informing him of the position taken since the grouping will be leading a delegation to the EU to renegotiate certain aspects of the deal. The president, by the same token, extended his appreciation for the position taken by the ACP and the struggle, and Mr. Jagdeo expressed satisfaction with the declaration that included the two clauses he proposed. This, he said, improved the agreement substantially, noting that signing the deal without these clauses would have been detrimental to not only to Guyana, but the entire region. The clauses allow for a mandatory 5-year review of the trade deal and for the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas to take precedent in the case of a breach in the agreement. Jagdeo says he is impressed with the support Guyana has received in its battle against the EPA over the past months. The official EPA signing took place between officials of the European Commission and CARIFORUM, the grouping that links CARICOM to the Dominican Republic. Officials also said that Haiti intends to sign the EPA before the October 31 deadline expires. The agreement will be implemented this month's end. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
The Caribbean Regional Negotiating Machinery has warned that the implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement will be a tough task. The CRNM, which was tasked with negotiating the trade deal with Europe on the region's behalf, claiming that it was a well-negotiated deal, now says the challenges are even more enormous than the actual negotiation. The CRNM's Director General Ambassador Henry Gill has cautioned that implementing the EPA will certainly be more difficult than negotiations. Ambassador Gill, in a statement, advised the region's private sector to devise individual implementation plans. The ambassador further explained that national implementation units must be quickly set up. Agriculture Minister Robert Prasad and Forestry Commissioner James Singh are representing Guyana, the World Bank's Forest Carbon Partnership Facility in Washington. Participants are expected to decide on a way forward for the world's standing forests. Here's Sharda Lau.
Partnership Facility was born out of the Bali climate change talks in 2007. This multi-million-dollar initiative seeks to compensate developing countries, including Guyana, for the value of their standing forests. The first organizational meeting will review the most recent developments within the sector and elect the participants of a committee, the decision arm of the FC. Wednesday to adopt regulations, review its budgetary allocation, and appoint a second batch of reduced emissions from deforestation and forest degradation or REDD countries into the readiness mechanism. Guyana's selection as an eligible REDD country was based on the submission of a readiness plan to the international body in March. This outlines Guyana's stewardship of some 18 million hectares of pristine tropical rainforests, which forms part of the Guyana Shield and Amazon Basin. It also identifies the main causes of deforestation and forest degradation in Guyana with possible strategies to resolve these issues. Last month, Guyana formally signed an agreement to access $200,000 from the FCPF to aid in the formulation of a comprehensive readiness plan. Upon completion, this proposal will be submitted to the FCPF for funding. Guyana's deforestation rate is among the lowest in the world and could earn in excess of $57 million per year in carbon credits. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shardalal.
Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Power and Light Company, Bardin Dial, says efforts are being made to restore power to communities in regions 5 and 6 by Saturday. He made this disclosure during a press conference which was also attended by Prime Minister Samuel Hines earlier this afternoon. More in this report.
For the past 2 weeks, residents in Berbice have experienced severe power shortages and inadequate water supply. During a press briefing, Prime Minister Samuel Hines pledged that the situation will be improved.
I want to assure them and assure everyone that all that could be done, we're doing all that we could do to get electricity restored, to get the generation increased, and get some return to what may be an adequate situation.
The Prime Minister notes that government has been trying to carry out operations tightly without elbow room to distribute power, implement maintenance works, and reduce pressure on tariffs. However, he says huge electricity demands can make this system quite vulnerable. According to CEO of the Guyana Power and Light Company, Bardin Dial, the company is trying to address the mechanical failures which were encountered at Onvawak.
We've currently purchased 3 turbochargers because we have a unit also at Versailles with a similar problem. And one is going to arrive tomorrow by air from Miami. We're expecting that another 2 will arrive by air on Friday. The one is arriving tomorrow. We're hoping to have it installed by Wednesday and for that machine to be back up.
While GPL has managed to repair one of the damaged engines at Cane Field, which has also contributed to the current situation, Dindial says the worst is not yet over.
There's absolutely no guarantee on this machine staying online because we're going to put it in service and we're going to monitor its operation. And if in fact the fix that we have done, a temporary fix, fails, we'll face to implement a permanent solution, which is the replacement of a section of the block, which is going to take approximately 8 days. Fortunately, we have a section of the block available on site.
He says the demand for power in Berbice exceeds the current supply of a combined 7 megawatts from GPL and Skeldon. This is a serious challenge for the power company. However, in the meantime, Dindial is optimistic that both Gaisuco and GPL can restore their generation to all affected communities. The CEO has also pledged to work with GWI to resolve the water woes facing residents as a result of inadequate power supply to pumps. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shardalal.
More stories are still ahead. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with the NCN 6 o'clock news. The Mayor and City Council will soon reorganize the new vendors mall to ensure compliance with market and public health regulations in allowing for better security. More than 160 vendors will be accommodated in this facility, assisting the council with keeping the pavements and other thoroughfares free from vendors. The Mayor and City Council hopes to complete this project before the beginning of the Christmas season and is appealing to the vendors to cooperate in making this venture a success.